Bigfoot Collectors Club with Bryce, Michael, and Ivy. I know a story of high strangeness or two. Let's do this.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Bigfoot Collectors Club, the show where we talk to amazing guests about their personal paranormal history and share stories of high strangeness. I'm your host, Michael McMillan. With me always is your other host,
Bryce Johnson.
It's so glitchy on my end. All I heard was
That'll do. That's about what he said.
That's fine then. Yeah, however it comes through is fine.
Bryce has an announcement to make. We have a new title for the show this evening, and it's called what's it called, Bryce?
It's called What's All This Then, isn't it?
Great. Awesome.
And ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
Bryce is wearing a beanie and a hoodie, just so everyone at home can add a visual to this character that we're all being graced with right now.
He looks like he's going to rob a bank in a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Right then. Right.
And of course, that's the wonderful voice of super producer
Riley Bray. Hi, everybody.
Hello, boys. Listen,
hey, man.
I really don't. What is it now, Governor?
Oh, I just said I'm back to normal.
He said that he's going to cue that it's Bryce again.
Listen, I don't want to waste too much time tonight because we have two amazing guests. We're closing in on the end of May, which means it's time to dip back into the L-Files. These are stories of high strangeness sent in by Club Scouts all around the world. See, we're like Santas now. We're Santas of high strangeness. All the children of the world write us letters, and then we don't bring them toys, but that's because that's up to their parents. Yeah, it's down to their parents. Sorry, Santa spoilers. I forgot to warn you. If you have a personal paranormal experience that you cannot explain, no creepypasta, people. These are real stories that happened to you.
Yeah,
please
we
send
can
them
detect
into
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we can smell it. And so can our followers on Instagram. So be careful. Send those into BigfootCollectorsClub@gmail.com. And don't forget, we want your big, hairy monster stories this summer. If you've had a true encounter with Bigfoot or Dogman or Catman or Bat Squatch, any large, unidentified hairy creature, send those into us and mark them BHM.
Yeah. Big hairy monster.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Here to unpack your stories this week.
Why are you laughing, Michael?
Because when I was a kid, and my dad would ask me if I had to poop, he'd be like, "Michael, do you need to BM?" And it's the worst. It's the BM. He called it BM. Do you need to make a BM? And
I'm so glad you peeled back this layer. This is great. Yeah.
To me, whenever he would say it, it was like an onomatopoeia of him eating shit. Like that's all I could picture when he was. I hated it. I hate it now. I know I don't like it.
I'm so sorry.
Let's ask our guests how they feel about BM. Here to unpack your stories and my childhood are two of your favorite recurring guests from Mega the podcast. Please welcome back to the show, Greg Hess and Holly Laurent.
Hello, Michael. Hello, Riley. Hello, Bryce.
Happy to be here.
Hello. I gotta go BM. I'm sorry, I gotta go.
I like your knit cat, mate. Michael, I feel your pain so much on the BM. My grandfather, my brother was a bedwetter, and we had to sleep with my grandparents a lot, and so they put the plastic under the sheets. But then also my grandpa, who was a worrywart, would wake up in the dead of night every time we would sleep over there and come in, and I would feel him when I'm a kid in a deep, deep sleep. I would feel him in the middle of the night. Holly? Do you gotta go jobby? Do you gotta go jobby?
Jobby.
And here's the thing, jobby was number 2. It was BM. Who is taking a shit out of a dead sleep in the middle of the night? I was like, I think you mean wee-wee? No, I don't have to go jobby. And then he would help us like stumble down the hallway, and he would stand outside the bathroom while I went in and sat there and tried to jobby. So anyway, I feel you, Michael, on the BM. That
There you go. Go wake up and go jobby.
That's what we call it, jobby. That's right.
Yeah,
you guys call it
jobby.
BM. We call it jobby.
Every night, midnight, got to go jobby.
Yeah, right. Apple and pears, jobby.
Right, 3 a.m. stinky jobby.
I had a bit
so
of bad beef, got to go jobby.
Yeah, right after REM sleep, my REM cycle.
It's like
Yeah, you're Australian.
Kind of Australian, yeah. Shifting.
it's like, Grandpa, go back to bed.
Wait,
I know.
I don't understand this. If your brother was the one who was wetting the bed, why was your grandpa waking you up to take a poop?
He was doing us both, but I was only awake for mine. But yeah,
So
Yeah.
anxious.
That's
so
that's
anxious.
inherent sexism right there.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Not
Well,
cool,
it's the
man.
girls is going to take a shit. That's what you got to look out for.
Girls is
That's how it was in my day.
Boys take pisses, girls take big shits in their bed. Time to get up and take a jobby.
She's not doing it
Holly's
on my
grandfather's
watch.
just a pirate.
I killed 4 whores in East End in 1898. It was a hot summer. All them whores were taking jobbies, and I put an end to it. I did. What's that now, innit?
This was Michael's audition for Oliver, and he didn't get it.
Oh, off to the races. Well,
Yeah,
so glad to have you guys here.
So good to be here.
What's happening now? I feel okay. So, Holly, let's start with you. I don't know how your jobbies have been lately, but when you were first on the show, we were kind of discovering that you had experienced some mediumship. Maybe you have a connection to the other side.
Right.
I'm curious, has anything similar to that, new to that? How has your world expanded since you've been on the show? Are you talking to ghosts? What's happening?
Interesting. I'm talking to a shaman in Arrowhead on May 23rd. So I'll report back because she evidently is going to tell me what these visits are, if they are in fact ancestors or people who have moved on, or what they are, or if it's, I'm really curious about if it's from the inside out or outside in, because I am always trying to decipher, like, what am I conjuring? I'm doing somatic breath therapy right now with a psychologist, 1 hour a week, where it's like breathing and letting your body release like any trauma that it has stored. And I'm doing the same thing in that, because it'll be like, where's a sensation in your body? Follow it, let it get bigger, ask it where it's from. Is it tied to a memory? What is it? And it's so hard for me to be like, am I conjuring the, so it's, I think that's always that razor's edge of like, and how much of it is perception. I feel like with the amount of senses that I have, is it dimensional?
Wait, did we say though? Sorry, I'm cutting in on Holly's thing though, but I can't remember the last time we were on. Did we tell you about how we were house sitting because Michael, we were house sitting for like 2 months.
Yeah.
Like
Recently.
the last time. Yeah. But the last time we house sat at that house, it's in Hancock Park, old house. Holly and I and this is the most ghosty thing that's ever happened to me, other than the thing that we're going to talk about, the picture.
Yes.
But we were in this house that is known to have had strange things happen in it. And I am not kidding you. I'm sitting in bed reading. Holly is brushing her teeth. And in the middle of the room, in this big ass house that has no close neighbors or anything, in the middle of the room between us, we heard what sounded like a voice passing through the room. It just sounded like,
Whoa.
and both of us sat up, and I go, "Did you hear that?" And she's like, "Yeah." And it just sounded as if like someone just like had walked through the room, but like a radio being tuned in for a second. It was wild. And I get goosebumps when I think about it, because that's the closest thing I think to like an actual physical thing that has ever happened to me, where we both heard it at the same time and just were like, I have
love that
no
we
idea
both
what that was.
Instantly physically responded and went like this to each other. And like I leaned in and we were looking at each other. So we both knew that okay, that happened to both of us.
And lights and shit always going off and on in that house and stuff like that, which I'm always like, it's an old house and the wiring or whatever. That's how I justify it. But this was a straight up like, damn, dude, I don't know what that was.
Yeah.
Weird.
I got to the point, it kept really doing it to the nightstand on my, or the lamp on my bedside table. And I would be sitting there on the edge of the bed, putting on my shoes or whatever. And it would just go on, off, on, off, on, off, and stay off when I had just turned it on. And so I just started going, hello, hi. And I would just talk. I would be like, you're welcome here. I'm so curious about who you are. I'm listening. I'm open. I was like, if this is my friend Louis Anderson, give me some jokes, because he died in January. And I'm like, sometimes I was think
like, if it's
Louis.
not Louis Anderson, I will fight you to the gates of hell. Back to where you came from, foul being.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, very, very trippy.
In that same house, I was just about to get into the shower, and I had the strangest feeling as I was taking off my clothes to be totally disrobed, to be naked and get in the shower. I had the most intense feeling that I was not alone. And I was like, I'm not taking off the rest of my clothes. And then all of a sudden, whatever it was like, oh, I can see through you. I can see your spine. What do you mean your clothes? And I was like, okay. And so I just got naked and got in the shower.
I'm an X-ray pervert.
I died after ordering X-ray specs from a back of a comic book in the 1950s.
Perverted Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Tragically,
wild.
I've never seen a pair of breasts. I've only seen rib cages.
Which I prefer.
That is a bummer when the X-ray glasses are too good. It's like, I just wanted the first layer, but it went all the way through.
That being said, you should see the spine on this one.
The spider.
God.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
I'm glad to hear I'm not the only one communing with my bedside lamp. That's amazing.
That's true. Bryce's been doing it too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I get some signalage from my bedside lamp as well. That's interesting.
Damn,
now,
dude.
when this sort of voice passed by, were you guys able to pick up on any verbiage or get any hints or clues as to what it might have been saying, or did it have come from an air? It just sounded like someone talking. That's so strange.
It was mid-conversation.
It sounded like when you used to have like an old, like if you ever played on a CB radio, like you were just like no static, but just like passing through something that all of a sudden it just came in, and we were just, and we truly did both. I shot straight up out of bed, and Holly like put her head around the corner, and we were just like, what the fuck was that?
Whoa,
it was really cool.
weird.
Wow. Where are you at with this stuff right now, Greg? Because I know when you first were on the show a few years ago now, you were like, I'm skeptic. I don't know,
Well,
this stuff. You seem like you're slowly opening up to these ideas, maybe.
I've been converted.
You're such a believer now.
I know. Well, I guess I will tell you guys. I mean,
he's the believer now, and I'm the skeptic.
I haven't told this on any podcast, and I know this.
I love when
music to our ears. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll tell it because I feel like he would kind of love it. So, Holly mentioned our friend Louis, and Louis Anderson. He died January 21st of last year, and we knew him. We had known him for a few years, and kind of during the pandemic had gotten really close because we would like Zoom all the time, and sort of like we were just kind of each other's like pandemic buddies.
He was alone at a house in Vegas all by himself. Like he couldn't see people. He was so lonely. So he would just like call us on the iPad,
like, hey,
always
what
like
you doing?
Lying sideways on his bed. He's like, I'm in repose. What are you all doing?
And
amazing.
he's just was a delight, just like a real character, just so funny, moody and just like so particular and just like a true character, and so we knew Louis had gotten sick, and he was kind of cagey about his diagnosis. He kind of went dark. We didn't know what was going on, and then he called us from the hospital, and we kind of knew it was bad, but he was and he didn't talk much. He just kind of wanted to hear how we were doing, and then another 6 weeks went by, and we hadn't heard from him, hadn't heard from anybody kind of in his inner circle. And we were really worried, and we would, we would text him and not hear back and stuff. And then, and I don't want to go I won't go full, take up the whole podcast, but basically one night we went to bed.
Fast asleep.
And
2 a.m.
I opened my eyes and I'm in Louis's bedroom. And
weird.
He's lying in bed and I'm kind of sitting on his bed next to him. And I was like, hey, how are you? We haven't heard from you. And he kind of wouldn't answer me. And then he said, my leg hurts. And I kind of looked at his leg and I noticed there was a little red mark on it. And I was I kind of did a joke. I was kind of joking with him because he had this bit that he would always say. He's I have a book of the best doctors in America. So whenever I have to go to the doctor, I look at my book of the best doctors. And so I was Louis, I was well, you have the best. I was the best doctors. And then I kind of asked him where have you been? Why haven't you called us or whatever? And then he asked me if I wanted water.
Didn't he begin a bathing ritual?
Yeah. He kind of began this ritual and he asked me if I wanted water. And I said, oh no, I can tell you're not feeling well. I'll go get it. And he was no, I'll get it. So I followed him into this room that was kind of a big atrium. And I looked on the wall and there were all these little beds built into the wall. And I was oh, that's interesting. I wonder, I was Louis doesn't have kids. Who are these beds for? And there were all these little pictures on the mantle. And I was oh, weird. Cause Louis was one of 11 and he was the next to youngest of 11. And I was I had this weird feeling that it might be his siblings. Mm-hmm. And I turned and he had sort of he had walked out onto the staircase and I could just tell he was going. And I wish I could explain in words. It's so honestly, I get kind of verklempt trying to figure it out, but it's almost an ineffable look, just I could tell he didn't want to go, but he sort of was resolved. And then he turned this corner. I can only describe it as a corner of light or something. It just I couldn't. He was obscured.
Whoa!
And he was gone. And I shot out of bed. I just sat up straight and I just was crying. And I said, Holly, I think Louis just visited me. Mm-hmm. And she was so I told her the whole thing. I was furiously writing down all the things that I had seen and he had said. And we kind of processed it for a while. And then
you said, should I text him?
I was should I text him? And I just texted him, hey, I love you. And we went to bed. And then I woke up and the first text that I gotten in the morning was from our friend Shelly. And it said, hey, I don't know if you saw, but Louis died last night.
What?
Whoa.
And yeah, it kind of threw me honestly for a huge loop. I mean, for a few months in the best way, to be honest. Mm-hmm. And I've been processing that all year. And the cool thing about it, the more I looked into it, of course, then you hear all these amazing stories of people that have this exact same thing happen to them.
Yep.
My neighbor growing up is Iroquois Indian. And when my dad told him, he was just my dad's buddy next door. Mm-hmm. My dad's buddy was oh yeah, of course. It was not even a thing. He was yeah, of course. Your friends and your family visit you before they die. That's how it goes. And it was so weird to have a framework of just some I didn't grow up with any of that framework. So it was such a cool experience. And then another friend of mine was oh, I don't know if Louis visited you, but maybe you visited him. And I was oh, that's another really interesting way of, because I felt like a passive observer in it in a way because we weren't really super interacting. He was almost acting like I wasn't there.
Interesting. Yeah, that was my gut was it felt like you went to him or you went to where he was in the waiting room or whatever this afterlife mid afterlife space was where the two of you could meet on some form of, let's call it, for lack of a better term, the astral plane or something before he went on. You kind of met him at the train station, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And wasn't it sort of golden, like a hall?
Yeah, it was kind of just like his bedroom was like his bedroom, but then like where he was kind of like just like mostly light, like kind of not defined space, I guess is a good
So there's this expression, I guess we've heard it a lot from our friend on the show, Adela Levine, where dying, when they talk about, she's a medium, and she says that what she hears from the other side is when you die, it's just like going to another room. It's really just walking into another room. And to me, it sounds like maybe you did start in his bedroom, and as he began to pass, he went to the other room, which was an in-between space, which because you were in some sort of dream state or astral form, you were allowed to go into the in-between space with him.
Yeah.
And then you had to obviously stay behind as you saw him then move on to the next space.
Yeah, I love that image. I mean, that is what it was like. And I think to put a button on like where I landed with it was more just like, it opened up in a way to me that was like, it's just so much bigger than we can like put a finger on. And I really loved just thinking that I kind of, that's where I landed with it, where it's like, who am I to sort of like, I guess my skeptical brain was like, I can still remain like skeptical about what that was. But the weirdest thing is like, I know 100% it was like, because I also don't really dream. Like I don't remember my dreams. And like, so it was as real as the table that I'm touching. It just, it's like, I can remember like what the fabric looked like on the blanket and stuff.
Wow.
And like, that's not stuff like in a dream that if I remember a dream, it's never stuff like this. And I beat for beat, like remembered every detail. It's really, really very real feeling.
Can I ask you about, you mentioned it, or Holly brought up the ritual, the water ritual? What was that?
It was basically like he started bathing himself, like with a with water, and that was actually a moment too where I was like, I shouldn't be here. I actually had a really distinct feeling that I wasn't supposed to like watch it.
Yeah, that's really intimate. Was it like a cloth?
Yeah, like a washcloth.
In like
and
a
so that
water
was interesting.
basin?
Yeah. And so I was also like, this is like something, I just got this sense that he was like preparing, and I was like, I'm not supposed to be here. Like, and then that's kind of also why I was like, I'll go get water or whatever. And he was like, no. Yeah.
It's not that kind of water. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, kid.
This is ceremonial water.
This is some sort of cleansing before passing on. Right. That's wild.
Yeah. And here's the cool thing about Louis is he was about as witchy and woo-woo as anybody can possibly be. He would call Holly and be like, hey, I know you're having a bad day. Like I can tell. And one time we were telling the Zoom thing. Remember that? The scorpion?
We were having a sad New Year's Eve in dead lockdown pandemic. Like it's New Year's Eve and it's a pandemic and we're all alone. And so we were Zooming with him on New Year's Eve. And but we had gone up the street to our friend Thomas's house, and we were spending a lonely New Year's Eve with one other person, but we'd never been in Thomas's house. We were like, we have to get Louis on the iPad because it's New Year's Eve and say Happy New Year. And so he got on, and the three of us were talking to him, and we were just doing goofs and everything. And he was like, oh man, I'm really worried because I think there's a scorpion behind you.
No, he goes, I keep seeing scorpions everywhere around you.
There's scorpion behind you.
Yeah.
And we were like, what? And he was like, I feel unnerved because there's a scorpion behind you. And we were sitting on a high back couch, but when we looked over the couch, which the iPad couldn't see, there was a like armoire bureau that was like merched out with all these like books and plants and everything. And there was a massive framed scorpion in glass.
Like underneath, like down on the, behind, like in a place where you could never see it.
He could have seen it.
Oh, he just sensed
no. It was like, yeah. And he was like, they're just all over. I can see them.
That's wild.
Whoa.
He always knew stuff. He was like, I'm a seer. I can see all this stuff.
Sounds like it. Sensitive.
So any visitation since? Do you feel? I mean, other than the voice moving through, no dream, no visitation beyond that.
Nothing. Yeah, and I keep kind of like hoping for that, and like Like if I kind of feel like when Holly was saying, like, she'll say hi Louie if with the lights were going off and on, but I never really felt like that was him. I kind of got the distinct sense that he was like going to a different place. Mm-hmm.
Also, would it sort of be like, man, you had the coolest exit ever. Why are you coming back? Like, you had the most graceful impact. Now it's just like, all right, now I get it. Okay, you're visiting me.
If there is an idea of like leveling up, or, you know, if you sort of like think of the Buddhist way of thinking about it, if he's like transcending in some way, like it wouldn't surprise me if he transcended to some other higher level realm, whatever, consciousness, just because you could kind of feel it with him where he was like not quite, like he had kind of figured this one out, if that makes sense. Yeah. I
mean, I joke, but he might come back. You never know. You know what I mean?
Man.
Oh, God. I would not be surprised.
I would not be surprised. And yeah, I hope it's as like the Queen of England or something.
You know, in a related, in last November, I did a PTSD ceremony for I did an MDMA journey for PTSD with a guide. And during the really intense throes of it, I would call it, it showed me that room, the golden room with the arches and the like, but there was no one there, but I just was like, oh, this is the room. This is Louie's room. This is where they were.
Whoa.
And then it like flipped to something else, but it showed it to me really clearly. And in that same journey, addressing PTSD, but a very intense experience, I had a friend astral project visit me.
Oh, this is
during
dope.
it.
This is really cool.
No,
story.
wait, alive friend,
yeah,
or
so
one who's
right
passed?
before the
alive friend,
right before the guide arrived at my home, and I had to have everyone clear out. Greg and the dog had to leave for 8 hours.
I walked around the block so many times.
You should have come over. You live down the street. You should have come
by.
Michael, hey, you want to hang out again?
Yeah,
I'm back. Yeah.
Is your wife on drugs again? Yeah.
It's therapy.
Healing journey. But so right before the guide was going to arrive, and I had been really careful that day about what I ate and my mental state and all that stuff. And the house cleared out and I was all alone, and he was going to be arriving in like 5 minutes. And I texted my dear friend, one of my best friends in the whole world, who lives in Wales. And I was like, well, the guide is about to be here, and I'm peacing out for the next 8 hours, but I'll see you on the other side. And she was like, okay, happy travels. I love you. And then
she was like, happy travels. I love you.
What's that sound?
Right,
what's all this now, ain't it?
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that back.
And then I had the experience. It was very, very intense. And the next day, as I was like working on integration stuff with the guide and kind of trying to get my feet back under me, she contacted me and she was like, did you see me? And I was like, what are you talking about? And Kaylee, and she was, did you see me? And she was like, I visited you. She said, I did this long kind of meditative thing. And then I did an intentional like astral projection to visit you, but I didn't want to frighten you. So I came as a woman with long white hair and a white bonnet. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, I didn't know that was you, but she described exactly what happened. And I was covered in chills because I was like,
Holly, do you need to take a jobby, Holly? I know you're in the middle of something, but I just want to make sure you don't need to take a jobby.
Get out of here, Grandma. God,
I can't. I have to take a shit in a straight up MDMA ceremony of all places. Of all places,
yeah, but she like popped up for a second. You were like, there was this like old woman that like smiled at me and had a funny hat on, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
And she was talking, but I couldn't understand what she was saying, and it was really when I was deep in it, and it was like a lot of images and visits like happening pretty quickly, and sort of like Inception, just a scene changing and then folding over and changing into another one, and then somebody whispering in my ear, and like, I mean, it was even like a fairy like up into my ear and being like,
so
belief
wild.
should give you wings, and like leaving, and like if something isn't making you fly, why do you believe it? And I was like, oh, thank you. It was just things like that of like messages and visits. But yeah, a woman with long white hair and a pointy white cap just jumped in my face and started talking to me. And I was like, oh, hello, hi. And I could tell she was trying to be funny, but I couldn't understand what she was saying. And it was my friend Kaylee. She was like, I visited you to try to make you laugh.
Would you have been more or less frightened if Kaylee had just showed up instead? Like, I love, she's like, I don't want to scare you. So I showed up as this weird old lady with a pointy cap.
I know. I wish she would have showed up. I would have known it was her.
I wonder why she did that.
I know.
Well, you guys are flush with high strangeness. I tell you.
I know it happened. I know so much. Maybe it was just the pandemic uncorked it.
Honestly, I hate to say this to the people who wrote in today, but their stories suck in comparison to all of these. So
I don't think that.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is brought to you by Magic Spoon.
Magic Spoon. Stay on track with Magic Spoon. It's cereal that tastes like your childhood faves, but with way more protein and less sugar.
Saturday mornings in the 80s were the best. Come on, am I right, you guys? I'd wake up early, run to the kitchen, pour myself a huge bowl of sugary cereal, and spend the morning parked in front of my TV watching the greatest cartoons of all time. But now that I'm an adult, well, I still enjoy cartoons, but that sugary cereal, not so good for me.
No, not good at all. But thankfully, there's Magic Spoon, so we can recreate those wonderful Saturday mornings without all of the 80s garbage in the cereal bowl.
That's right. And, these days, I'm kind of a cereal at night kind of guy. And trying to stay healthy and hitting the gym for my yoked alchemy, sugary cereal at night would just crush all my hard work. So Magic Spoon is like this amazing godsend for me. I can still eat my nighttime bowl of cereal and not have to worry about destroying all of my hard work.
Well, the only gains I'm really concerned with are the preamp settings. Audio joke.
Yes.
But I'm also like, cereal in the studio at night is one of my favorite things. It's just, I've been eating the Magic Spoon lately, and I don't feel terrible for doing it.
No, Magic Spoon is high in protein and has 0 grams of sugar. And they offer this incredible variety of amazing flavors. So we have the perfect opportunity for you Club Scouts. Check this out. Get the variety pack. You know what I'm talking about, that stuff you love in the grocery store. Now do the Magic Spoon one. 4 flavors: cocoa, fruity, frosted, and peanut butter. This pack has 0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 to 5 net grams of carbs. This is 140 calories a serving, high protein, 0 G of sugar, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free. I mean, what are we even talking about here? This is
Magic
incredible.
cereal, that's what it is. Yeah.
This is Magic cereal, you guys. I mean, I love the peanut butter flavor. I've tried them all. They're delicious. Riley, do you have a favorite?
I also really like the peanut butter, but the multicolored fruity one is so good. So good.
Yeah. Look, go to magicspoon.com/BCC and grab your variety pack today. And be sure to use our promo code BCC at checkout to save $5 off your order.
And look, Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. Where are you going to get that? So if you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked.
Remember, get your next delicious bowl of high-protein cereal at magicspoon.com/BCC and use our code BCC to save $5 off. These ads only work if you use the code. Again, that code is BCC. So get to it, Club Scouts. Support our show by supporting our incredible sponsors.
And thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, yum.
No, we do have some good ones and we will get to them. But before we do that, there is a story that you guys told me, I believe it was definitely after you were last on the show. And I don't remember where this fell in to the pandemic timeline. Now, there is a visual aid to this story. Is it okay if we post that visual aid on our Instagram to show
As I said,
Or an
Michael, I
edited
am a
version.
SAG actor, and so
Oh.
it needs to be a SAG post. And
Got it.
do I get
Well,
He's
residuals
post
for that?
sensitive right now.
we might be dropping this episode in the middle of a writer's strike. So
That's right.
If we
Can I
feel like
monetize
we're
it
not
somehow?
scabbing,
Yes, please put it out, and we would love to hear what people think.
Are you sure you're not content hesitant?
I'm content.
yeah.
I'm content grateful. I just want somebody put me in some content, please.
Yeah.
I'm content desperate.
Okay, so boys, I sent this to you guys. Open up your emails and take a look. There's 2 photos we're going to look at here. Or is one a zoom in of the other? You
Yes.
guys tell the story.
Yeah.
Well, the story is so we've been going down to the Bahamas for a lot of years to this island called Abaco, which is an outer island in the Bahamas. It's really kind of rural, middle of nowhere. I've been going. My family loves to fly fish, and we've been fly fishing down there for years and years and years. And so, probably 10 years ago, my dad and some of his fishing buddies built this house out in the middle of nowhere on a bonefish flat. And so we'll go down there, and there's really nothing to do and nowhere to go except look at the water, sit by the fire, eat coconuts, whatever you do down there, eat fish,
Play games.
and
Sit in
so
the
it's
water
a
with
really
rum
cool
drink.
place. And if you want to zoom in on the Google Earth, it's like
wow.
at Cherokee Sound. It's one of the like deepest parts of the Atlantic Ocean.
I'm
And
zooming in on your picture. Holy shit.
yeah, dude. So sidebar is I did bring a bunch of mushrooms in chocolate down there. We had friends with us. We tripped. It was super fun. And then like the next day or that night,
The next day.
we were all sitting by the fire, and Holly was acting kind of weird, like sort of agitated, and which is not like her. Usually she's like the last one to go to bed, always wants to play another game, open another bottle of wine, let's hang out.
Life's a party, man.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
Holly
feel
left.
that.
Holly was just like, I'm just feeling weird. I'm like going to go to bed. And so you went up did you take the picture or did I?
No, I think I'm in the picture. It's right over my
Yeah,
head.
she's
It's why I
sitting
was
in
so
the
agitated.
picture.
Yeah.
Yes. So Holly's
Holly,
sitting in the
if
picture.
you're looking at this, she's sitting in the middle of 3 people or 4 people facing
You snapped
us
the
with her-
picture
I
because you
snapped
were
the
like,
picture,
look
yeah.
at my friends all sitting around the fire. Greg was up in the house and he was like, look at my friends all sitting around the fire. I'm going to take a picture and make this memory.
And I snapped this photo, and I didn't see anything in the photo. And then the next day I looked at it, and there's this sort of like green, cloudy, orby thing like out
Flying
over
with
the
a face in it.
water. And then if you zoom in on it, there's a pretty kind of cool looking face in it, we think.
There's a couple
wow.
faces in it, actually.
It looks like Patrick Stewart going, ooh, like
Yeah.
punches scream.
You know how
I
he
see,
always
look.
does.
I see a craft. Is
Oh,
Oh,
really?
I see a
that's
face
interesting.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Eyes,
yeah.
nose. I see a face here.
Oh, wow.
Above that.
that's
like,
weird.
Oh, wow.
See, to me,
eyes
Michael,
and a
that
face
strong
there.
that line like right there looks like a craft sort of tilted, doesn't it? Like I don't know. That's what I'm
Yes.
getting.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
I think the thing that jumped out at me when you guys showed this to me when we were out walking the dogs, that was the
That's
face
wild.
that I saw.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
then there's this one here too.
That's a
Yeah.
classic
And then-
UAP right there.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know,
Oh.
like I'm also down to be like, oh, you know, people will be like, well, it could be lens flare from the fire or whatever.
I think
it
so,
doesn't
too.
really look like flare,
But-
but the other thing that I thought was, it's kind of weird that like the position of it, and
Because it moved in 2 different photos.
yeah, it moved in 2 different photos of the same photo. I don't think I sent you the other photo. I don't know if I have it, but
You didn't know,
yeah,
but
it mo-
I think you did show me. If you have
It was
send
further
it to me,
away
I'll
and
post
then it
that
was
as well.
closer.
That was the other thing that blew my mind. Is in the other photo, it is definitely in a different position.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
the fire
It was-
is still
and it's
at the
the
same
same
angle, so
photo.
it looked
so I
like
just
something
like
flying
snapped too.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was coming from far away. In the first shot, it was further away. And in the second shot, it was right above us.
Talk about British ghost. It probably was a pirate ghost because there are a lot of pirate ghosts down there.
Yeah.
I mean, that would make
Did
sense.
you sense anything, Holly? Greg said you were
Yeah.
like, what were you
I
sensing
was-
that night?
I was having a great time sitting by the fire. We were having a couple pops. And then it was an instantaneous, like I suddenly felt destabilized, I guess is the only way to really say it. I felt incredibly unstable. And I was like, I have to get out of here. Something feels wrong. I have to go. I just became agitated. Like, I got to go. And which is not like me. And I just ran up the stairs to the house and went and got in bed, turned off the light and was like, ugh, ugh. I mean, I'm never the first to bed. I'm last to bed.
You're like, I hate these people. I got to get out of here.
And I'm also really super sensitive to energy. So when I saw that picture, I was like, I am not surprised at all. I think I felt that. I think I felt that.
It's a great photo.
It's cool. It could, my skeptic brain looking at it now, just because I feel like we did this with Marcy and her fairy photos, I wonder if it is a lens flare from the fire. It does seem to be at the same angle as the fire in the photo. So we have to acknowledge, they're both tilted kind of at the same angle. But I definitely see the faces. That might just be our imagination. But what struck me when you first told me the story was seeing the two photos in order. And it really was like, oh, this does look like something moving through here. But it's interesting stuff. And you're obviously a receiver for something. I'm now think both of you are.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, flare.
I know. I feel like the Louis story, I was like, I guess I'll tell it to these guys. Like, I hadn't said it to anybody except for like friends and stuff. And then I was like, well, if anybody says that that's lens flare, I think I have a better story than the lens flare.
It's a great. They're all great, and this is the type of stuff that we love to unpack. This visual stuff on the show too. But thanks for sharing that story. That's incredible. Like, I think that's the.
Well, Louis, if you're listening to podcasts wherever you are, please. Subscribe and support the Patreon.
Please do. Come join us, please. All right, well, let's dig into some of these. Thank you so much, guys. Let's dig into some of these L files. We've got 3 that we're going to read tonight, and we'll read them for you, and then let's unpack them together. So, Riley, why don't you kick this session off with this wonderfully titled L file?
All right. It is entitled, I Tried to Punch a Gray.
Now, you guys know what a gray is, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I learned it from you guys. Learned it from you, Grace.
Alien
Doing
gray.
the good work here. Hi, guys. Scottish Graham here with my story of high strangeness. I will save you guys the Scottish accent. I rather drunkenly told to Michael on the last live stream post show, but it was 5 a.m.
Yeah, on the chat. Yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing.
I heard this briefly.
More drunk fans in the post show, please. But it was 5 a.m. here in Scotland. Nice. And many drams had been drunk, so I was a stereotypical drunken Scot and probably made little sense.
Graham, you were a delight. It was a blast. Thank you for staying up till 4 a.m. to watch our live stream and getting drunk. Truly. I mean, Scott staying up late to watch us and then tell me a story about punching a gray. Come on.
Love it.
I think
what more could you ask for?
What a gift.
He continues. So after all the talk of Grays in the Betty Andreasen episodes, great deep dive by the way, I thought it would be a good time to share this. A bit like Michael, I've always been terrified of Grays. I grew up with family stories of UFOs, like my grandfather seeing a classic saucer in the 60s near our local nuclear power station. Mm-hmm. Over the decades, I've had 2 UFO sightings myself. First one in the 90s, I saw something hovering in a Highland gale over some power lines that I couldn't explain until the Metapod video hit the internet a few years ago, and it was identical in shape but not color to what I had seen. The other was a metallic sphere hovering over a small town here. That was the extent of my experiences. Despite being terrified of images of Grays, I'd had nothing to make me think I've ever encountered them.
Well,
in 2020, I had moved in with my girlfriend out in the country here in an area with a few houses around, but pretty much wilderness and some amazing clear dark skies. Being an avid sky watcher, I'd spotted a few white lights high up in the sky that didn't match anything on the plane and satellite finder apps. In November 2020, in the middle of the night, I snapped awake to see a short, 4-foot gray-like creature standing next to my bed, staring at me. I remember being terrified and then surprised, as it didn't look like a gray, as it had a large head and fat body, but with skinny arms and legs. Its color was a greenish brown. But it also had, that to me sounds exactly like a gray.
Yeah, green and brown. I think if you mix green and brown together, you kind of get gray, right?
Right, and large body, large head, fat little body, skinny arms and legs. I'm like, that's
gray.
pretty on the nose.
We got it great.
Anyways, his words. It also has a very small face with the head being very large and bulbous like a fetus. The eyes were jet black but very round, and I was surprised that they didn't have the shape you see in Gray drawings.
So not almond shaped, okay.
My girlfriend was fast asleep on the other side of me. Being Scottish, my surprise quickly turned to one of extreme anger, and I swung my fist at it as hard as I could, but something took control of my arm, and my fist swung downwards, hitting the mattress. Whoa. I now stared at the creature in the face, but I was having trouble seeing its features. I became aware it wasn't happy that I was staring at it, and was somehow stopping me focusing on its face. At this point, I have no more memories, and woke up in bed at some point later quite confused as to what happened. My girlfriend had noticed nothing, and I don't want to say what had happened. Now, a couple weeks later, we found out my girlfriend
had to go
was a
jobby?
month pregnant.
Yeah. You didn't want to say.
It's like,
Yeah.
you go do it, Joby. All right, well, hold on.
It's just Holly's grandfather in goggles.
Nice Scottish Graham. Here comes the big twist. Now, a couple weeks later, we found out my girlfriend was a month pregnant.
Whoa.
A bit of a surprise to me, as we'd been trying for ages, and we thought being in our 40s, we were too old. So what had happened? Did my subconscious mind know a baby was on the way and presented this bizarre fetus-like image and it was all a waking dream? Or did this actually happen, and whatever that was in our bedroom had something to do with it? No matter what it was, we have a wonderful 18-month-old, healthy, and very intelligent little boy. But when Bryce says, go get regressed, it always makes me think of that night. But I don't think I want to know. I'm not sure I want the answer. Keep up the good work, boys.
Wow. I tried to punch a Gray baby, Mary.
Graham, don't punch the baby.
How smart
punch
are
the
we
baby.
talking here?
I tried to punch the baby, Mary.
He's a bright child. He levitates the furniture. He zips around
Turns
in
on
light
light
light.
bulbs with his fingertips.
He's a little too good at math. That's cool.
Oh, wow.
Very cool. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Love it.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it was his subconscious. Or, I mean, the thing about it taking a swing and him not being able to, that also kind of feels like either that dream thing where you're like trying to run and can't, or the gray baby had mind control.
Which is classic.
That's what stood out to me too. To control your perception is really interesting.
Well, and we know from the Betty Andreasson case, which we talked about on the show in April, that their faces sometimes seem to morph before your eyes, and they can apparently control your body and put you into some sort of suspended animation. So that kind of tracks. I'll say this, as someone who started going to therapy years ago because I would have night terrors and hallucinations. I'd wake up and see shit at the side of my bed. It was always something different. But I've definitely woken up, seen a weird figure, and thrown a punch. But what usually happens is it just instantly vanishes, and I'm punching nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my adrenaline spikes and all that stuff. I sometimes shout. But when I see something, it's there and gone, just like in a flash. So that's what hallucinations, how they tend to present themselves. And, fortunately, my anxiety is such that I don't really do that anymore and I'm thankful for that. But so it strikes me that he felt like the punch was misdirected and then the thing was still there after that, and getting the sense of I don't like you taking too close of a look at me. That's very strange.
He's like, I'm trying to give your baby great gifts. Go back to bed.
Yeah. I'm designing a great baby for you. Don't throw me off.
Is it always two eyes?
Usually it is, but they'll say that the eyes change shape. In fact, in the Betty Andreasson story, she watched one of these things as it seemed to wipe her mind. She watched the eyes form into a round white ball and a black white ball. These things have an ability to shift their face around a little bit, or at least fuck with your conscious mind or unconscious mind and your perception, or these things. I think, Holly, going back to what you were talking about at the top of the show about like how much is it you, and how much is it you directing what you're seeing, and how much is it something from the outside affecting your perception. I think these things are reliant on the user interface of whatever's going on in our brains to present themselves.
And our brain can fill in, like it'll tell it, because it's trying to match that to the thing it most understands, right? So I think sometimes it fills that in.
Agree.
I will say this: pregnancy is a very dominant theme in late night visitor abduction case scenarios. So I mean, not to take away your good and hard work there, Scottish Graham, but it's an interesting plot point.
I'm trying to help. You've been putting it in the wrong hole. I'm here to put it in the right place.
You've got no swimmers.
Sorry, apologies to your wife, Graham.
Fascinating.
I'll tell you what, though, that kid has one hell of an origin story.
Yeah.
Totally.
Indigo baby.
You guys would be proud of me.
I
was listening to a podcast about UFOs yesterday that was a Scottish podcast. And I don't know why I brought this up other than we're talking about aliens, UFOs in Scotland. And one of the things that blew my mind was he was interviewing, you know his name probably, but the guy that headed up the government whole UFO thing.
Oh, Luis Elizondo, probably.
Yeah.
He
interviewed him. And it blew my mind that he was like, so he said, in your opinion, does the U.S. have in its possession a craft? An off-Earth craft, I think was the verbiage. And he said, yes, just like simply. And I was like, okay, what? Okay, well, Luis Elizondo just laid it down.
He's been laying it down. This is what he's been saying for the past 5 years since we've been doing the show.
Luis Elizondo.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. You got to get him on the show.
Scottish great. Yeah, get him on. Why do you have us? Why do you have our dumbasses on here?
You guys got good stories.
He's too serious.
He is too serious. I do love all his answers where he's like, I will not answer that, and here is why. And it's like he gives a longer answer of why he won't answer it than why he will. I'm just like, you could just say you won't answer that one. You don't have to like.
It sounds like it's because he has to go jobby.
Yeah, he's got to go.
Yeah, he's got to go jobby.
He really needs to.
If he really had to
just
go, he'd shorten those answers.
Just go.
This episode of BCC is brought to you by HelloFresh.
Hello.
Flavors in full bloom at HelloFresh. Enjoy the taste of spring with chef-crafted recipes featuring ripe seasonal ingredients delivered right to your door.
With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep.
Right to your doorstep, people. You sick of grocery shopping and meal planning? I am, that's for sure. HelloFresh makes home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. And that's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
Number 1, HelloFresh does more than just delicious dinners. Not only can you pick from 40 weekly recipes, but you can choose from over 100 items to round out your order, from snacks and easy lunches to desserts and pantry necessities. And look, everything arrives in one box on a delivery day that you choose.
Yeah, save those leftovers for your kids' school lunches. I know I do. Listen, I've been known to order up and hit takeout a few nights a week, which is getting too expensive for me and often encourages unhealthy eating. That's why I like doing HelloFresh instead. Their quick and easy meals make feeding everyone a cinch without the high price tag. Plus, their new fast and fresh options are ready in just about 15 minutes or less, so you can get to your favorite show.
Yes. Good food fast, not fast food. And look, my girlfriend and I, we cook HelloFresh meals multiple nights a week. And not only are the simple recipes delicious, but also the experience, it really creates some nice kind of quality time together where we're cooking a meal together. But it's like a little date night with like great food, but it saves like the headache of going to the store and picking all these things. It's just, we just have this nice time where we can be together and cook a great meal.
Yeah, and look, guys, Club Scouts, check this out. Go to HelloFresh.com/BCC16 and use the promo code BCC16 for 16 free meals. That's right, 16 free meals
16
plus free shipping. That's incredible. That's HelloFresh.com/BCC16 and use our promo code BCC16 for 16 free meals plus free shipping.
HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
Yes, that's right. Support our show by supporting these great sponsors.
That's 16 meals. That's a lot of meals.
Go get that meal kit.
All right, Bryce, what do you have? Pull out the next L file for us.
Yeah, let me see what we got here in this bag. Okay, here's one. All right. I know this sounds far-fetched, but I'm telling the truth about everything that happened in this story. Keep in mind that I don't scare easily. This story happened over 10 years ago, but it stays fresh in my memory. I was going through a tough time and just wanted to be alone. We have a woods beside our house, so I decided to ride my dirt bike out there that night, sit by the fire, and just chill with some music.
Now, I thought Bryce would be good to read this one because it involves woods and dirt bikes and some boyhood adventures.
Yeah.
No, okay.
I like this, dude.
About an hour or so later, I wanted to change up the music. So I grabbed my iPod and started to surf through some songs till I found something that I liked. Now, I forgot to mention it, but at night, the woods is pitch black, and even with a fire, you can only see a few feet around you. Basically, you and the fire are the only ones around in a sea of darkness. Anyway, I switched songs, and turning back to the fire, I froze. On the other side of the fire, a large form with pointed ears loomed in the darkness. The only reason I noticed it was because of glowing eyes reflecting the flames that burned between us. This thing was huge. I'm about 6 feet tall, and it was taller than I was. I stood there, paralyzed in fear, as for what seemed like minutes stretched between us. Only the music breaking the dead silence. Now, I live in Ohio, so not a whole lot of tall animals in the woods with pointy ears. We have no bears or any kind of wild animals in the area that are bigger than deer in the area I live. The thing before me was definitely no deer. And at that moment, I didn't think it was human either. During our silent standoff, my brain finally recovered from shock and screamed for me to move. I quickly dropped everything in my hands, including my phone and iPod. I jumped on my dirt bike and tried to start it. Just like a horror movie, it wouldn't start. Dread filled me and I could feel my face pale. The engine turned over really slow as if the battery was dead. I thought my heart would break my ribs. It was pounding so hard. Luckily, it has a Kickstarter as a backup, though I've never had any luck kickstarting it. I guess luck was smiling down on me that night because with a hard kick it started and I flew through the woods as fast as I could. Looking back on it now, I'm guessing whatever it was could have attacked me with all the time it took for me to get the dirt bike started. Now, I don't know if it had already left during my panicked escape or was still watching me with those fiery eyes as I fled. Once I got up to the house, I told my parents about what happened and asked my dad to go back with me to grab my phone and iPod. However, it was really late, so he declined. I'm guessing he didn't believe me. Now, don't ask me why I would go back after escaping with my life, but at the time, I wanted to go back for my stuff.
It's your stuff. You're a teenager. You gotta get your stuff.
You gotta
That's all you
stuff
own.
back there.
Yeah.
I ended up calling my friend who lives nearby, and he agreed to help. My friend and I shit you not, we went back out to the woods with swords and a disposable camera to get my stuff.
Better and better.
Heck yeah, dude. I like your style.
I took the camera
You're
with
gonna
us
need
in
this.
case I could snap a picture of whatever was out there with me. As I was snapping pics in one hand and holding a sword in the other, we approached the site and gathered up my things. The thing was nowhere in sight. As we were walking back up to my house, we noticed a neighboring house was lit up. However, it wasn't house lights. It was on fire. We quickly called 911 and ended up finding out it was an abandoned house that caught fire. Now, I'm not sure if it had anything to do with what I saw, but it sure was weird to have all this happen in one night and around the same time. Till this day, I have no idea what animal would be taller than me and would approach a fire and music. Not sure if it was some kind of weird creature or possibly a person in a mask, possibly one who started the fire. I still have the disposable camera sitting on my desk. I haven't gotten around to getting it developed, but now thinking about it as I write, I probably should. A lot of time has passed and I still go out in the woods, but sometimes I can't help but wonder if that thing is still out there watching me.
Yeah, we got to get those developed, guys.
Bro.
Get on that. Yeah.
Go find a 1 hour. Go find the last 1 hour photo and get those.
Do whatever
developed.
It takes.
Yeah.
I would end up going to get the camera developed, but the camera was so old, most of the pictures were unusable, and from what I could see, nothing stuck out as report worthy.
Damn it.
Damn.
Yeah, thank you.
Except a lot of cool sword pics.
Dude,
Thank you for
my
reading
stepdad's
this
got
on
a
the
sword.
podcast.
Yeah.
Wimberlord.
Wimberlord.
Yeah, that's a good
hail
one.
Wimberlord.
Yeah, bro.
Wimberlord.
I
rules.
just learned that what's the name? I just learned that the name for the animal glowing eyes, tapetum lucidum. Is that right?
Oh yeah, so that's the reflective layer behind the eye. Tapetum lucidum, or however you said it, is fine too. Yeah, it actually reflects light back to you. Nocturnal creatures have those, like raccoons.
Yeah, I love that.
Cats,
but humans don't, right?
No, humans don't. But
Bigfoot
that
does.
But that only means, there has to be an emanating light source. So the fire would work as something that could shine back from something with tapetum lucidum. But it sounds to me like this creature had glowing eyes, and maybe that just wasn't I immediately
Wimberlord.
I'm thinking Dogman. Can I just say it? I just want to spit it right out there. I'm thinking Dogman on this one.
What's the term for a fire fetishist? A
pyromaniac.
Wimberlord versus the pyromaniac Dogman. That's what this is.
On a dirt bike.
Wimberlord chooses sword.
Bryce, don't cameras and stuff, when you guys have been out and in doing Expedition Bigfoot, isn't it not now we hear in paranormal investigations often like, my camera's not working, the battery's gone dead, but that'll sometimes happen in like Bigfoot hunts as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because look, I
goes wrong.
That's absolutely right. I house all this stuff under the paranormal, Bigfoot, ghosts, UFOs, mysterious things, and there is a strong connection with sort of electrical malfeasance. And it sounds like, it happens to cars. Why not a dirt bike? Cameras, batteries go dead. All kinds of just crazy shit that make it harder to capture this phenomena. And dude, like on my show Expedition Bigfoot, we've seen those glowing eyes, so I know what you're talking about. But the pointed ears, man, I mean, that's the Dogman phenomena, which is really just freaky. Greg, Holly, do you guys know anything too much about this Dogman thing that's sort of taking place in the last decade or so? So the Bigfoot phenomena has seemed to morph, and people more and more these days are reporting these large lichen, tall canine type creatures. Basically, it's Bigfoot but a wolf. It's almost like a fucking wolf man. In fact, it's just like a wolf man, although it's probably not turned from human to wolf like a werewolf, but.
The thing
creepy
about these Dogman stories, and believe me, when we started the show, I'd be like, come on, Dogman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dogman, really? And then we had a guest, Linda S. Godfrey, who recently passed, and she wrote a few books, and she would go out and research it all. Like, one of the most famous cases was in Wisconsin, the Beast of Bray Road, and she was just a local journalist and was like, everyone was making fun of these people with these stories of some sort of Dogman-like creature in Wisconsin out in the old dairy farm areas. And she was like, you know what? If everyone's going to make fun of it, no one else is going to take this story. Fuck it. I'll go do it. And she started compiling these stories, and she's gotten more over time. She collected more and more of these stories to the point that you're like, well, fuck, now I think Dogman might be a real thing because these stories are reported so consistently. But the thing that jumps out about them with me often is they seem to have a little bit more, not necessarily the Beast of Bray Road, but some of these seem to have a little bit more of an ethereal nature to them, like a shadowy figure, like almost like a shadow man that's a Dogman, a little bit more like ghosty or interdimensionally. You know what I mean?
More menacing too, like the house on fire. That vibes with Dogman stories are usually nefarious in nature, and so who knows what those dogmen are up to?
Yeah,
no good. That's
no good. That's what they're up to. I like this story, Wimber Lord.
Don't put the Dogman in the pound.
Yeah.
He just wants to have a good time. I think that's weird because growing up, I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains in the western part of Virginia, and that's funny. We didn't call it Dogman, but there were stories of
oh my God, Holly's face.
I know. There were stories of I've heard it called a goat dog. I've heard it called basically a goat, a dog beast kind of thing.
Whoa.
That I would hear about as a kid, and I always just thought it was like something to scare kids. But it was definitely like something like that you would hear. Like there were like old holler kind of like family. Like my friend actually, in a long other story that we'll tell one other day. My friend, I'll just tell you this part of it. My friend, me, and his dad went looking for the caves that they like said that these like dog creatures lived in.
Oh Jesus!
And and he was like a Vietnam vet who was like very unstable.
Okay.
And this will give people a snapshot of what it's like to grow up as a redneck where I live. We took an M16.
Oh my God.
And I think he might have been kind of half in the bag. He let like me and my friend shoot the M16 at like 10 years old.
Wow.
And then
gotta learn sometime.
Truly was just like, you want to shoot it? And I was like, yeah. And so like I shot. And
you go
then
flying off the ground.
There he goes, Dogman, go get the kid. And then like truly we were like sticking sticks down into these caves and stuff because like we climb around in like old like cave shafts and stuff all the time as kids. So dangerous. And at one point, my friend's dad, he went to cut a switch off a tree with his giant knife and basically like slipped and cut his thumb off. Like basically.
Oh my God.
And we were like, oh my God. And we were freaking out. And he was just like, I mean, it was like it was so Heart of Darkness. Just like put a thing where it's like, we gotta get back to the house, and like and I just remember like getting back and like his mom like freaking out and like it was all of the things of just like, oh yeah, maybe there are weird things that happen when you're a kid that you're like, yeah, everything about it was unsafe and bad. What was I doing and where were my parents?
Wow.
And it was just like,
quick, start a fire, empty those ammo, and get the gunpowder out.
Truly.
Greg, the 80s aren't going to last forever, Greg. Come on.
Yeah, and he like they stitched like his thumb. I just remember was like hanging off his hand, and we were just like freaking out. And then they stitched it back on, and we never found that goat dog that down in the
now
down
pour
in the
some
cave.
of this gunpowder on my wound. I need you to light it with my lighter. You're going to cauterize the wound.
You know who else doesn't have thumbs? Dogman.
Dogman don't have thumbs. It's a sign.
I'll tell more stories of
Dogman.
redneck anarchy the next time. But yeah, that's when I went to look for the Dogman. My friend's dad cut his thumb off.
Wow. Oh, damn it.
Love it.
All right. Greg, Holly, do you have time for one more?
Sure.
Here we go. Howdy to the beloved BCC boys and or amazing guest stars. We have two of them, of course. My name is Xander, and I've been listening for about a year and a half now, ever since my 18th birthday, and I loved y'all since the first listen. This story is a tad long. Don't worry, it's not that long. But I had a good bit to say about it when I consider what I consider my first encounter of a tall gray. I hope y'all enjoy the tale I call Chandler's Walking Giant. For as long as I can remember, I always had a fascination towards the subject of aliens, but I was always uncertain of their existence. But all that changed on one fateful night in my hometown, Chandler. To no surprise, my eyes were glued to the television at the age of 9, enjoying some reruns of Lab Rats on Disney XD. Once the wall clock... Man, we're bringing in the young listeners
Shout
now.
out.
Once
Disney
the wall clock...
better pay these guys.
Yeah, exactly. Once the wall clock struck 9 p.m., not even seconds after the minute hand crossed over, the screen began to fuzz out in a soft static with no sound to indicate the channel going out. My mind wasn't even even granted the luxury to question the oddity before a piercing white light blasted through the living room curtains. It was still quiet and was to an intensity I've never witnessed light ever reached to this very moment. The pounding of my heart was the only sound that I could make out, echoing through the house as my eyes fixated towards the light. After laying residents around the front yard for half a minute, it slowly began to inch over the rooftop, finding itself off in the backyard. From there, the light was beautifully on display, for the dining room curtains were still being washed. The sense of urgency and fear was heightened once I saw the full brightness of the mysterious glow of light. I slowly drew the nerve to approach the windowsill to try and get a better look. Yes, I was beyond frightened, but the want of truly knowing whether or not the truth in the extraterrestrial was hovering over the lawn. But of course, as soon as I made it to the dining room, the light popped out of existence. Directly following that, the scream of the TV returning to the show shocked the fear into full drive, which made me run straight into my bedroom. Forcing myself awake the next morning after a restless slumber after seeing the light, I noticed a very concerning problem. No power. Across the entire house, all that stood was utter darkness. I made the quick decision to go out to the front porch rather than hear the cars off by the highway just down the road instead of the house of horrors that was my home. As soon as I went outside, I realized the whole street was knocked out. Only lights you could see were from the highway and the nearby church. Though the faint sounds of the morning traffic and soft blue of the morning dawn helped keep me at ease through it all, roughly over a span of 10 minutes, the entire street simultaneously lit up with the return of power. With a bit of glee in my step, I eagerly shot to the door and entered the house. Not even one step inside, my eyes were greeted with what I could consider was the true cause to all this madness. Out in the backyard, kneeling down by the curtainless dining room window, a staggering, tall, skinny, pale figure was peering into the house. Being on one knee, its bulging head was still at the top of the windowsill, which would put this figure close to 9 to 10 feet in height. It seemed to hadn't noticed me. Its head turned towards the kitchen area. For soulless, black eyes slightly resembling curved knives, you felt as if it expressed curiosity in its brow. Its wide mouth was slightly opened, revealing small triangular teeth, looking as if they could rip through my very flesh. But for some unannounced reason, I was calm. I was collected through the entire encounter. The thought of finally knowing the truth gave me closure I never experienced. Within the few seconds I saw the creature, it finally locked eyes at me. We almost seemed to have the same stare towards one another. It even looked like its eyes slightly widened, as if it wasn't expecting to be caught peeping around. In a quick motion, the lights in the house fluttered in and out, and the creature vanished into thin air like the glowing light. It still feels like the story took place just the night before. The gaze of the creature has been implanted in my brain to the point I have drawn it numerous times. I feel as if I will never truly feel the same way to any other encounters, now having the amazement of the unknown revealed to my life at such a young age. Thank you so much for sitting through this lengthy tale of my first encounter. I was also trying my hardest to try out some writing skills. I hope it elevated the story to y'all's liking.
It did.
I noticed the
good
blue
writers
skies.
today. Really good writers.
Mm-hmm.
Some strange encounters. This image of the tall, skinny gray almost ducking down to look into the window is pretty wild. And, someone who has seen something weird looking in my window, I can't write this one off. And we hear stories of tall grays in some of these
That was
alien
me,
encounters.
Michael. I was looking in your window.
You are very tall.
And I live down the street. I can see right in your window.
You're wearing a gray t-shirt, too. So
and my teeth are tiny triangles. So I think it's true. This is cool. Wow. I love it.
Yeah.
Interesting that it seemed like he was really scared when the power went out, but very chill with the alien, which I, respect. I would be reverse of that. More scared of alien, more cool with power going out.
Yes. Yeah. Right. The power going out seems to be the normal thing happening here. But we do hear stories that almost a weird sense of calmness comes over people when they see these things.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the fight or flight mode is turned off and people are just, and in a lot of these stories, people have an urge to go with the figure that they see,
Oh.
So I don't know.
Interesting.
Spooky stuff. Bryce, you look perplexed over there. What's going through your brain?
No, not much. Just
Chilling, man. Chilling.
my fight or flight response has been turned off.
Bryce gotta go, Jobby.
Fair enough. Gotta go, Jobby. Well, let's all. We all gotta go, Jobby. So let's say goodbye to Holly and Greg. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. We love you guys. God, what amazing stories you guys had. Where can people check out Mega and follow the show and anything else you guys are working on? Please give it a plug.
Yeah. Well, check out Mega the Podcast. You can follow it at Mega the Podcast and find it on all the podcast things. We've got a cool thing coming up, which is we're doing a mini series inside the world of the podcast. So the podcast is a satirical improv podcast about a fictional megachurch.
So
and
funny,
what we're
guys.
doing is a true crime kind of expose podcast that is going to be a 4 or 5 episode arc as a little mini series. So if it's like kind of a good time to maybe, we have 200 something episodes. So if you want like a fun way in, it's going to be called The Rise and Fall of Twin Hills, which is the name of the church. And it kind of sounds like The Daily meets like a true crime podcast where we're like exploring the church.
We've got a spinoff.
We've got a new theme song and everything. So yeah, it's a fun little mini series that we're doing, and it's really silly and fun.
It's so funny and
listen,
dark.
You heard them on the show. They're amazing. Mega is so fucking funny. I've actually been a guest on the show before, but they have really awesome guests, way funnier than me. And I've seen you guys live in LA. It's so pull up. You're listening on your podcast app. Just pull up Mega, click follow or subscribe right now.
Just smash it.
Yeah, it's so fucking funny. You guys are so hilarious.
Thanks, y'all. We
y'all
love
are the
you.
best.
And,
love you.
Yeah, thanks for keeping our minds open. It's always fun to chat with you.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to have you back. You guys, you kicked off the first wet, hot alien summer we ever did. And our next summer theme is going to come up here in just a couple weeks. So, it sounds like we need to get you guys back at least once a summer so we can catch up on what's going on in your world. Thank you so much, guys.
Hey, have good jobbies, fellas.
Good job.
What's that, then? All done with that, then?
Wow. Amazing stories. Come on. Those two are the best. We love them.
Yeah. Agreed.
Listen, guys, if you're not following us on Spotify or Apple, you might have missed that episode. So do yourself a favor, go to your favorite podcast app and click that follow so you never miss a single episode of BCC. And we want to hear from you guys. Please rate and review the show while you're over there. If you drop us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, we might read it on the show, like this one.
This one's from Aiden Brixon. Title, Tell Me When. Guys, please. No. I love this podcast so much. Definitely a top 10 for me, but please get Neil deGrasse Tyson on the podcast. I mean, Neil, if you're listening, or
invites are out, Neil.
Agent, if you're listening,
you really want to hear
stands. Yeah.
Bryce disrespect a scientist on our show.
I really want to hear him sort of explain all the footage that's been coming out lately and see what I'd love. I really like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I would love to hear what he has to say on the subject.
I'm also a big fan. Neil, come on the show. Come on the show.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Bigfoot Collectors Club and on TikTok at BCC Pod. And do send in those big hairy monster stories into BigfootCollectorsClub at gmail.com. Get them in quick, everybody. If your grandpa has one, if your grandma has one, it doesn't have to be one of yours, but if you got a local big hairy monster that you've heard legends about, like the dog goat man in Greg's childhood, send in those stories. We'd love to hear those. And also don't forget store.bigfootcollectorsclub.com. We have merch, guys. You got to get your BCC merch on. So check that out. Weather's getting warm. We got some amazing t-shirts over there. So get dressed for the summer. Listen, we've been hearing from a lot of new listeners. I've been getting emails about how you've all been binging the show. So if you've caught up and you're wondering, Where's more BCC? Do I have to wait every Wednesday for more Bigfoot Collectors Club? The answer is you don't, because there is a shit ton more of BCC waiting for you on the Patreon, BCC The Other Side. Unlock 3 bonus episodes every month, plus gain access to our entire backlog of bonus episodes over there. And if you want to, you can upgrade to the Cosmic tier, where you'll also unlock 3 additional BCC soundtracks and original music by Riley. Come on, what else do you want? Head over to patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub to check that out. And of course,
a whole jobby worth of content over there.
There's a big old jobby of content over there. And when you join, we will shout your name out on the air. So guys, get ready, because it's time for some Patreon shout outs of the week. Alex Feldhaus.
Thank you.
Andy Maines.
Thank you.
Allison Perez.
Thanks, Allison.
Daniel.
Thank you.
Lindsay Tabor Roberts, Cosmeteer.
Thank you.
Lindsay,
and welcome.
Russ Marburg.
Thanks, Russ.
Joshua Veal.
Thank you.
Eric M.
Thanks, Eric.
Life of Sarge, Cosmeteer.
Oh, a Sergeant Cosmeteer. Welcome. Thank you.
And Synth Cheese 776.
That's what's up. Thanks, Synth.
That is what is up. Thank you, everybody
name.
who's joined. We're slowly catching up on all of our shout outs. So stay tuned if you haven't heard your name yet. Follow me. I'm on Instagram at McMills. Bryce, Riley, what do you guys got?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram at Bryce O. Johnson, on Twitter at Mr. Bryce Johnson.
And I'm Peace Drone on Instagram. And I've been doing those cameos. They've been coming in lately.
So, ooh, nice.
You want me to sing you a song for your birthday? I don't know. Whatever.
I do.
You know, we'll see.
I do indeed. All right. Well, great. Yeah, hit us all up on Cameo. We're all over there. One last thanks to Greg and Holly. Thank you so much for being on the show. Like I said, go subscribe to Mega, guys. I'm not fucking around. That is a really, really funny show. We are crossing over to the other side. If we don't see you over there, we will see you back here next week. Until then, good night.
And go get regressed.
I almost forgot my line. That's why I gotta write this shit down. I gotta write it down.
Bigfoot Collectors Club is produced by Riley Bray and Michael McMillan and scored and engineered by Riley Bray. Our theme song, Come Alone, is by Suneaters, courtesy of Lotuspool Records. Do us a favor and support the show and unlock 3 bonus episodes every month by becoming a member of our Patreon, BCC The Other Side, which can be found at patreon.com/BigfootCollectorsClub.